Hello, hockey fans. James Hershey along with Jamie Pettit, and we're joined with the head hockey coach of the Little Falls Flyers, that being Tony Couture. And first of all, Tony, thanks for joining us. And we kind of want to wrap up, I guess, the state tournament. And first and foremost, we want to finish up the final game of the season. That was against Dodge County, and unfortunately, a 4-1 loss. Your comments about that game?
Well, I think we were, first of all and foremost, very excited to be in a situation where we could possibly play for a state tournament. And I think the kids really adapted to the whole environment and things that were kind of different. And I think I told somebody they didn't really know it was different because they hadn't been there before. But I definitely knew that things were different, and the situations with locker rooms and how you got into the building and all that stuff was for me was not really distracting, but I wish it would have been a normal year where the kids could experience what I experienced the other times that we had gone to the state tournament with the hotel rooms and the meals and we tried to do our best job to kind of do the best thing that we could for the kids, and we were able to sleep over and go out to eat twice, and it was a good thing. And then leading up to the game, we felt that we were very confident that we could play with Dodge County. We knew that obviously Brody Lamb was the single factor in most of their wins, again, it was no different when we played them, but we were very comfortable on the ice, I believe, from the first time we played Delano. So they kind of knew we were in the same bench, we were in the same locker room. We got all the same kind of things that prior to going on with Dodge County. So we were pretty comfortable with everything, and the game started, and it kind of was really exciting for me. I thought the Delano game was also very exciting for me, and a very memorable game to win in the state tournament in the fashion that we did. So going into that Dodge County game in the first period, we were very comfortable. We had thought that we had scored a goal. That was one main thing that we wanted to do, is score first to try to get up on the board. We had a goalie interference call. And then from there, I thought everything was going smooth for us, and getting pucks to the net, and it was just one of those situations where we felt pretty good, but not a lot of reward with putting puck in the net for us, and that was seemed to kind of go throughout the game. It just lots of shots for us anyway, over 30, and just not getting that reward of getting a lot of pucks in the net. So that's kind of a little bit of how we started that game.
Let's talk about the disallowed goal in the first period. Obviously the interference is what they originally called it a good goal. Obviously, all goals are reviewed at the state tournament. You don't get that at any other time of the year except for the state tournament. Once they looked at it and the officials finally decided they thought there was some interference, I guess, how tough was that, I guess, momentum-wise, and I guess what was going through your mind after that happened?
Well, I thought that I never really thought about it at the time that we were going to have a disallowed goal, because we've never had one before in a regular season game too often, where they had to review something. Most of the time there might have been a kicked puck or somebody in the crease, and the officials do a pretty nice job during the regular season trying to figure that out. But when it came down to the goal, I at first I never really thought about that they were going to disallow it. I did, it's hard to see exactly what's going on. I watched the clip up on the big screen, but it was just a situation where the puck was still wasn't covered. I thought Robbie Helgeson came in to dig for the goal or dig for the puck, and must have moved the goalie a little bit out of the crease, and I think that was what kind of caught their eye, and then decided that there was some goalie interference. And I guess everybody has their opinion of what happened and how it could have been, or how it should have been called, or did they make the right call? And you just got to go with what they call, and I mean, you can't really say. You can ask questions about what they thought they saw. I was just a little disappointed in the fact that they really didn't have a whole lot of explanation. They just said, "Go eat." And at the time you want more, but you just don't get it. And they make the call, and you just you got to move on.
And you did move on, and you actually scored later on in George Moore, which had a great postseason, got you on the board, and you had a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, we George, scored 3. He scored in our win over Delano, and he scored the winner in Fergus Falls in overtime. So, he scored 3 goals at the end of the season, and he had 1 throughout the whole season. So, he really kind of put the puck on net, and that's what we're kind of preaching all year with our defensemen. Just get it in there, get some screens, and I think we had some kids in front too helping them out, especially in the Fergus Falls double overtime goal. I believe that was one of the reasons why that goal went in. Besides the good shot by George, was that we had 2 people in front of the net screening, and the goalie just couldn't see it, and that we needed more of that. We needed more of that if we were going to win that Dodge County game. We just never got a lot of help, a lot of puck luck we didn't get, and then we just didn't get a lot of screens. We hit some posts, and I thought their goalie played well too, and he made some nice saves for them. But George, after that 1-0 game or score, get up, and then they kind of came back and 2 in a row, and I think Dane wished if he would have had the first goal back. He thought it was going to go wide, and at last minute he decided that he was going to stop it and hit his glove weird and went into the net. So, but so it stuff like that happens, and you just don't want it to affect your team's performance by getting outraged on the ice and mad at the refs. And a lot of times when that happens, kids see that. They start to get agitated, and I never want that to happen in a game.
In the second period, obviously, you were able to contain Brody Lamb period number 1, and period number 2, he started to heat up a little bit. And Jamie and I were talking about this in the game. It's impossible, I think, to stop somebody completely when they're that talented. But you guys did a pretty good job of that for the most part of the game, didn't you?
Well, we were. We had thought at one time maybe we were going to change something that we did against them, or put a body on them, all the time, kind of follow them around the ice a little bit. But kind of figured that wouldn't probably work so much. And we just wanted to make sure that they were aware, our defense were aware that when he was on the ice and what he's capable of doing. And I thought our defense for them before the whole end of the year played very well, and I thought they handled him pretty well. You go back and look at the goals that he scored against us in the tail end. One was an open net, but the other one was off a face-off, and he hit the crossbar and went in. And then the other one, he just made a terrific move around one of our defensemen, and then cut back on Dane and just couldn't stop it. So those were 2 excellent plays by Brody Lamb, but for the most part, I thought we were on him. We didn't give him our number 1 goal was not to give him a lot of time and space in our zone, because he's very deadly coming off the wall. We knew that, that was. I thought they did an excellent job with him, and the goals that they got, besides maybe the first one that Dane would like back, were pretty good goals, and he's a pretty good player, and that's why he is recruited by the Gophers, and one of the leading goal point getter in the state this year.
All right, it's 2-1 going into the third, and early on, you were able to get some, obviously, offensive pressure, and actually you thought you had scored a goal, but unfortunately, a quick whistle was the reason for that. Your comments about that?
Yeah, I mean, that stuff happens when the officials in the corner, they usually, if they don't see the puck, or if it's not in the back of the net, or not covered that they can see or anything like that, they usually blow the whistle. I thought it was a little quick, but it was never covered. It was almost in the back of the net before the whistle blew. But once that happens and they wave it off, it's a non-reviewable goal. Sure would have been maybe a different outcome in the game, or at least part of the game. I mean, it would have been 2-2, and who knows what would have happened after that. But again, you just have to bite your tongue a little bit and just move on to the situation in hand, and that's trying to win a game and not be worried and not be agitated with what the officials are doing. And we kind of kept our kids under control for the most part to try to battle back, and it just wasn't meant to be.
And then, of course, I guess the last call that we had, or the last play that really kind of affected this game, was the possibility or the potential there could have been offside. As the Giesler kid came across, he bobbled the puck before he got to the blue line, came in feet first, gained the puck, brought it across the line, and then eventually passed it over to Brody Lamb, which was able to make the nice move on Dane and score. I guess, what was your thoughts about that call?
Yeah, well, I mean, when you're on the bench, you only get what you see up on the big screen, and they can kind of manipulate, freeze frames and things like that. So the only shot that I saw, that was up on the screen was him over the line without the puck, and then then you begin to wonder, did he have possession of the puck? Did he have control of the puck? And I mean, I thought at the time, no, he probably didn't. You go back and review it. It's a 50-50 guessing game at that point. What you're going to call, and obviously we didn't get the call, and again, for the third time in the game, we were very disappointed with the outcome, and at this time, I just think it was too much to try to battle back a little bit from some of the disappointment.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that, Coach. And I do want to say one thing after the game was over. I know you went over and you had a chance to talk and shake the hands, obviously, of Nick Warden, the head coach for Dodge County, and also you went over to the officials and shook their hands too, which is a class act that you've been for the past 28 years. So I thought that was a really nice gesture that you did.
Yeah, Dodge County has been a team that had been knocking on the door. Last year they were. I think they got beat at some point coming into the section, probably disappointing for them. And this year, what a great story, a smaller town, kind of an unheard of town, kind of like when Little Falls started to go to the state tournament. Nobody thought they would do much, and I just congratulated them on a well played game, and congratulated them on getting to the state tournament. And just with this weird COVID situation that we had, it was a tremendous feat for anybody that they could go through the season and get to the state tournament without getting any kind of quarantined or anything like that. And obviously, any coach that goes to the state tournament always wants to get to the finals. And I just congratulated them, and then going over to the refs, at one point I thought I was going to walk away and not go talk to them. I didn't really talk to them. I shook their hands. I mean, everybody's human. It's not like they were going to come out before the game and say that they were going to, make those calls purposely against Little Falls. They went out just like we were, trying to work hard, and calls were made, and you got to live with them. And I just said, hey, good game, and walked away. So I didn't want to walk away mad and walk away not shaking their hands. I thought that would look classless, and I didn't want that to happen in my last game.
And you mentioned it was your last game, and I know you've had a few days to process this. Of course, you're already into the softball season, so maybe that'll kind of take away from, what's really happening. But officially, you have retired, and in fact, you said just before this interview, the job has been posted also out there. So it's kind of now really coming true, isn't it, Coach?
Absolutely. I play music in my Phi Ed classes. We had badminton today, and I went to turn the music on, and an email popped up with my job posting on it. So it was a little bit surreal. It was a little bit sad to see it officially on black and white on a screen, but I've known for a while that that would be the right decision, and it's a sad thing, but I'll still be around doing some things with the high school Flyers, with just trying to get the next coach acclimated with a lot of things in the locker room and our equipment, and we have purple stuff, so you have to order special order things like that just to help out. And it was just kind of a thing that happened today, and you just got to move on. And I love Flyer hockey, but there's just a place that I need to go before I retire from my teaching position, and that's just try to be with my family and do other things to lighten the stress load a little bit.
Well earned, I think, too, in 28 years of coaching. We're talking to the head hockey coach of Little Falls Flyers, that being Tony Couture. James Hershey and my partner, Jamie Pettit, is here. And Jamie, I know you have lots of questions for head coach Tony Couture, obviously over the 28 years of coaching, and you have gotten to know him really well over the past years. So let's hear some of those questions you got for head coach Tony Couture.
Well, Tony, I just had a couple questions related to the state tournament. The first, in terms of the Dodge County game, of the three questionable calls, was the second call where the Philippi goal was disallowed due to a quick whistle. Was that the most devastating call of the three in that game?
I would think so. It came at a time where we were trying to push hard to try to get the puck in the back of the net. We kept telling the kids that we got to get to the net, we got to get that puck to the net. We got to fight for rebounds, and it just wasn't meant to be. I mean, it was obviously it was, the puck was still bouncing. He just couldn't see it on the side that he was at, and obviously coming in to that period and through that game, it sure would have been nice to have it at 2-2 at some point instead of 3-1. So that was probably the one that probably hurt the most.
You played two games. You beat Delano 2-1, which was a week ago tonight, actually, and then the 4-1 loss to Dodge County. Is it fair to say that the Flyers maybe played a more complete game against Dodge County than they did against Delano in that quarterfinal win?
Well, I think so. I think in the Delano game, I thought Dane played extremely well to kind of keep us into that game, and then defensively, after we got up and got into that third period, I thought we played fairly well and held our own against probably, if you want to say, probably a better Delano team than we were. I think they had a little more depth, and I think they were just a little bit. I don't know. They just seemed to have a lot going on, and they did things very perfectly. And I thought the Flyers just kind of battled extremely hard. I thought Dane played very well, and at the end of the game, there's not too many times that you feel you maybe got outplayed and won a game.
Let's talk about some maybe memorable games in your career. And I've got, I think, 6 listed, so we'll go through them fairly quickly. If you could maybe just give us a few comments about these games. And I guess the first two would be more on the sentimental side. November 23rd, 2018, Little Falls 6, International Falls 5. The game was at Bronco Arena. It was Dane's first start in goal for you, and he got his first win.
Yeah, it was, anytime that you go back to your alma mater and play, have your son kind of step up there. My mom was in the stands. A couple of my friends were in the stands that I, still keep in contact with. It was where I played and got my first high school win. So it's very memorable when you go back and you see a lot of the people in the stands that and our friends or you graduated with, and it was very memorable to have my son get his first win. We're a time where we, as a high school player, that I got my first win, and to have some of my family there and good friends there, and we had played many games up in International Falls. I don't know how many exact games that we went up there and played, but every time that we went up there was very memorable of just something that happened, whether it was my son's first win or just being around International Falls when I haven't been there for a long time. It just means a lot when I go back up there. I'm very proud to be a Bronco because that's where I grew up, and it was always special to go up there, regardless if we won or lost. It was kind of a neat thing, and my mom got to come and watch, the game.
December 13th, 2019, Little Falls 5, St. Paul Johnson nothing at the Exchange Arena. Dane gets a shutout. It's your 400th win, and St. Paul Johnson was being featured on Dream State, so the highlights of that Flyer win were on Dream State. Quite a night for the Couture family.
Well, I think you're picking some good games, Jamie. I really was really ecstatic after the game. It meant a lot to me that our kids actually played extremely hard in a very tough situation. And they, again, you talked about a little TV thing that they had for a lot of couple seasons, and they just happened to pick St. Paul Johnson. We got the word at the beginning of the year that they were going to come with all kinds of cameras. They came undefeated. I believe they were undefeated. And they came into our building, and they had all the cameras. Very distracting, I'm sure, for them, but they had been following them for a while, and our kids were just lights out that night. Dane had an excellent game. Again, it was my 400th win, which, you don't count them. I guess I knew probably, but never really thought that was the highlight of the game. It was more so that we really played extremely well in front of the cameras, and then afterwards, it was a couple weeks later or so that we got an opportunity to see the cuts. They did an awesome job, and it wasn't just about St. Paul Johnson, but it was about our team and the 400th win, and it was very special.
Okay, it's February 19th, 2009. The Exchange Arena, Little Falls beats St. Cloud Apollo 9-1. Prior to the game, Ben Hanowski needs 2 points to pass Johnny Pohl as the state's all-time leading scorer. He ends up with 2 goals and an assist. What was it like prior to the game, during the game, and after the game?
Well, it was probably one of the most memorable games that I've had at the Exchange Arena, if not in the whole 28 years. Ben was just right from the get-go of that season. We knew that he needed a boatload of points. I had met with him prior to the season and talked to him a little bit about playing to get that record. The year before, when he was a junior, he didn't necessarily play all the games, and what I mean by that is a lot of times in the third period, we cut it short, and he didn't get very many shifts, and that was a reason for me to be a little disappointed in how how the season was going to end up the next year. I didn't want not to play him. I didn't want him not to get an opportunity to break the record. So we made a decision as a coaching staff that we were going to play him in all 3 periods, and that we were going to allow him to try to beat that record. And that wasn't obviously his main goal, but because he's a very, very good person, and we definitely didn't think that was our main focus for the season, is to get him his record, but we wanted to give him an opportunity. And as you know, after every game throughout the whole season, we had scouts there. We had to go through the tapes and make sure that all the points were official. It was obviously, Jamie, you did most of the work. It was very tedious that year. Every game that year, I got a phone call from Pittsburgh Penguins or the St. Louis Blues or somebody that was going to come in and watch him, and they wanted to know one thing: whether or not what kind of person he was, and as everybody knows, he was a fabulous person. and that was their main goal is to see what kind of character and watch him on the ice. They knew he could play hockey. Leading up to that game, we knew that there was a possibility that he could possibly get 2 points in that game. So right from the get-go at 8 o'clock, I started getting phone calls. Mike Corral was getting phone calls at the hockey arena. The school was getting phone calls, and people from all over the state. Even if I remember getting a phone call from a person in Wilmer that wasn't a tremendous hockey player or a person, but wanted to come to the game because he wanted to. He was very intrigued by the amount of goals that he had scored, and so he was trying to get tickets. And it was one of those games where you just every time you turned around, somebody was talking about it in the hall at school or anything. There was I would think, an extreme amount of pressure on Ben to try to get it done that night, and there was just some fun things. It was 5 or 6 deep around the corners, no seats. The JV kids were just ecstatic because it was probably 99% full at the first period of the JV game. And I know Mike Corral, who at the time worked out at Camp Ripley, I think they were Norwegians that had come into Camp Ripley to train. They were in there. There was probably about 40 of them. There were some Norwegians that came in, and they were right by our bench, and they were just having a blast. And some of them probably had never been to a hockey game before, but it was just unbelievable amount of people. We had to set up a press conference after the game. After the game was concluded, we had to have a press conference. So we got tables ready in one of the side locker rooms, and I think everybody was on pins and needles for a while because we surely wanted him to break the record, but as many people we could fit into our building that night, and it was a great, and I can kind of see it right now, vision of it when he scored, and we stopped the game and we presented him with a plaque, and he went over to his parents at John and Julie's, who were in the corner where they always sit or stand, I guess, to this day. And it was just kind of a tremendous feeling. One, I think, of accomplishment for Ben. Two, I think it was the right decision that we made that year on not holding him back and not putting him on the bench to sit and watch in the third period. So, and then even to this date, talking about that when people come into our locker room, we have a thing up in there that has all of our 100-point people and players, and he's up there with 400 and some points, and people just cannot believe that he had scored that many points and assists or whatever in a 4 seasons with the Flyers. So it was a tremendous accomplishment by Ben and his teammates too. I mean, he had a lot of support with a lot of different kids. Wesley Wytashik, who is our assistant coach, and Riley Hirsch, who played on the line with him, and he got to play with his brother Joey and his other brother Ben or Bo. So there was just a lot of factors in the whole thing, and then one thing that you kind of think about is that he's a very good person too. So it couldn't have happened to a nicer person and somebody that had worked extremely hard to get where he was at.
Well, great job describing the exciting events of that particular night. How about March 5th, 2009, later that season, Section 6A championship game, Little Falls 3, Alexandria 2, in overtime. You were 27-0 coming into the game, and you had to fight like crazy to get to the state tournament.
Yeah, that was one of the games that you really didn't think it was going to happen that way. We had been very successful that whole season, undefeated, and I personally probably thought, and probably feel this way, that we should have went into that game and it should have been a 6-1 game. And it turned out not to be. It was just a dogfight and just back and forth. I remember the goal that Wesley got was just a pass over from, I believe it was Riley Hirsch, and put it in by Hemingway. And what a great feeling! I remember when it happened. I think when there was just a lot of relief that it happened, because you didn't want to go into a situation undefeated like that with all those seniors that we had. I think we had like 18. Not all of them played varsity, but we had 18 or 19 seniors that year, and we just didn't want to end it in the section finals against a team that we thought we were much better than. But they played extremely hard. Alexandria was a very good team, not to downplay them at all. They came to play, and they had a mission to beat us. And if it wasn't for Wesley Wojtaszek at the end of the game with a nice shot, we would have been going home without going to our main goal, and that was getting to the state tournament. I know when the puck went in, I jumped up on the dasher or the boards, and all of a sudden I found myself by myself in center ice, kind of cheering. And it was just kind of deja vu, I'm not sure what you want to call it, but from the time that I jumped up on the boards to the time that I go out on the ice, I really didn't know how I got out there. But I was out there by myself in center ice, kind of looking around. Was so happy that we have now an opportunity with all those seniors to get to the state tournament.
So at the state tournament, you're in the Class A third place game, and the date is March 14th, 2009. You trail St. Cloud Cathedral 3-0. Eventually, you work your way back. Game's tied third period, 3-3. And very late in period 3, the game-winning goal was scored by Ben Hanowski, the 196th goal of his career. You beat St. Cloud Cathedral 4-3 for the third-place trophy, the highest finish ever for a Flyer team at the state tournament.
Well, that was most memorable. Obviously, it was the last game for those seniors and for Ben Hanowski and that crew. That was very special for everybody. Obviously, we had a disappointing loss, and then to get to the state championship and get to the third place game against a team that we had scrimmaged probably 5 times that year. We drove the bus. I didn't drive the bus, but we went over to St. Cloud at least once or twice that year and did power play against them, because they were a very good team. Nate Schmidt was now in the NHL, played for that team along with some other very, very good hockey players out of St. Cloud. They came to Little Falls Exchange Arena to do a power play scrimmage. Back then, you could scrimmage as many times as you want. I think we scrimmaged a total of 15 times that season, and at least 5 of them again with Cathedral. So we knew them very well. For some reason, I didn't think that we were going to meet them at the state tournament, but we ended up meeting them at the state tournament, and we knew them well. There was a couple times during the state tournament we were staying at the same hotel. We gave them rides in our bus. The kids knew each other very well. We were very good friends with the coaches, and everybody just got along pretty well. So going into the game, I believe one of their players, I can't remember his name, Jamie, you probably know, scored all 3 goals in the first period, I believe. And I went into the
Jordan Pulaski.
Yes. I went into the locker room after the first period, and basically told the kids, you've had your chance here. We're down 3-0. Obviously, we skated very poorly. It didn't look like we wanted to work very hard, and that I was thinking that I would give you about 3 or 4 minutes of the second period, and if you look like that you were going to come out and be very soft and not skate very hard, is that all the seniors were going to be done, and then I was going to go with all the underclassmen to get ready for the next year, that even Ben Hanowski wasn't going to see any ice time, which I think kind of sparked them a little bit, and I think they knew that I was probably being honest, and that was what I was going to do if they didn't get going, and they definitely picked up their game. I remember one individual, Jordan Mall, who was a third line player, I believe at the time, kind of a big rugged kid. He just worked his tail off the rest of the game, and was one of the reasons why I thought that we won the game. Is just that he kind of created an atmosphere of hard work, and everybody kind of fed off Jordan Mall that game. And then the tremendous goal at the end of the 16 seconds left or whatever it was, it iced to third place, and it was just a very good way to end the season, kind of like this year. Even despite that we lost the last game, we had experienced a very good thing at the end of the year for lots of good seniors that had been working very hard over the course of the last 10 years to get to the state tournament. And that was no different with the Ben Hanowski era of 2009. It was kind of an end of an era of dominance that we had for 3-4 years going to the state tournament. And the next year we really struggled. We lost all those seniors, and we didn't win a lot of games that year, but it was a start of another era, and eventually got back to the state tournament with a group of seniors in 2012.
I've got one more game and then one more question, and then we'll bring James back in and for some questions that he might have for you. So the last game I had on my list was March 10th, 2012, Class A Constellation Championship. Little Falls beats Rochester Lourdes 5-4. You had a 4-0 lead in that game. Joey Hanowski with 4 points. And the reason I bring the game up is you were extremely excited after the game. You came up to join James and I for the post-game interview you typically did with us during the season, and I just remember how excited you were. You grabbed the back of my chair and almost tipped me over. Why was that such a big game for you guys to win?
Well, I just think that, again, you go back and you look at it, seemed like most of our big wins, state tournament stuff, happened with seniors. And that was, no question there that we had some seniors that were very fond. They were very good hockey players, but they were even better people. And going back to, I believe, the game before that, we played, I believe it was Duluth Marshall, and we almost got beat that game. I think that was the game. I mean, maybe I'm wrong and get kind of old here, but Joey Hanowski had an open net. He missed the net. Their player wheeled back all the way down the ice. And Michael Stump had to make probably the biggest save in Flyer history at the state tournament to ice that game. And we were just, I don't know, we were kind of giddy the whole time. We dropped down to 2 lines, and we were really struggling to just try to get going. And then Duluth Marshall kind of turned up the notch a little bit, kind of floated back into the game, and there was just a lot of emotion at that time. I think in my career, where you kind of look at what you've done and what you're faced with in the next couple of years. So, most of the time, youth hockey doesn't lie. If you're going to the state tournament in youth hockey, usually you have an opportunity to go when you're in high school, and we knew that the next couple of years after 2012, we'd have to reevaluate things and try to get back to the state tournament, but we knew it was going to be a tough road to go. So I think somewhere in the back of my head, I think that we knew that this could possibly be the last time for a while that we were going to make it to the state tournament. We knew other teams in the future were looking a lot better than we were, and I just thought that at the time of the kids that we had, probably one of the proudest times that I had for, that 2012 class. Because prior to that 2012 class making it to the state tournament, you rewind it 4 years, and we only won 4 games that year. and they battled back. We brought a bunch of freshmen up to try to get numbers, and they battled through 3 years of probably some disappointments in the state tournament or in the sections, and we thought I don't know. I just thought that was just a very happy feeling that those kids worked extremely hard from winning 4 games one year to winning the consolation champions 3 or 4 years later.
You went to the state tournament 5 consecutive years from 2005 through 2009. At some point during that 5-year run, you brought this up in an interview a number of years ago, but you considered retiring. Why did you consider it, and why didn't you go through with it?
I specifically know exactly where I was, when I was, and who I was talking to. We had gone to Princeton that year. I believe we probably went up to World that year and did some preseason scrimmages. And at that time we'd always go up to World, and then on that following Monday we'd always go to Princeton. We'd go up there and we'd scrimmage Princeton, and we'd go to a local burger place, and it was just kind of a thing that we did for the last couple of years. And there was no different that year. We got on the ice against Princeton. I had a couple kids that got kicked out of the game or out of the scrimmage, and I just at that time I was really contemplating whether or not I wanted to continue to coach. I mean, you're talking 2009. Undefeated season, and the coach wanted to quit at the beginning of the year. I just had, just this feeling that it was going to be a great year, but then there was also going to be some issues. And at the time, I just didn't know if I wanted to go through with that. I sure loved coaching, so I reached out to a mentor of mine, Kevin Gordon. He was the former International Falls coach, won a state tournament there in the 90s. He, at the time, resigned from the coaching position, kind of like what I did this year. He was coaching softball at the time, and he had been in hockey most of his life, and then decided that he was going to be done coaching. And I reached out to him, and he just gave me some advice of that you're going to know exactly the time that you're going to be done. And, I talked to him probably about 10 minutes or 15 minutes on the bus ride home from Princeton, and came to the conclusion that I was more frustrated with what happened tonight than wanting to be done coaching. Different story now. Obviously, when that time that he talked about on that bus in Princeton, that was what he told me is you'll know. And at the beginning of this year, I really kind of hemmed and hawed about whether or not that was going to be the time this year. And as the season went on, even though it was a spectacular season and I enjoyed and I thought that our coaching staff did one of their best jobs coaching this team, we had some side distractions. We had some other things happen, negative and positive, but I thought our coaching staff did an awesome job coaching the kids to get to the state tournament this year. I'm not sure exactly when it hit me. Somewhere towards the end of the season, there was just a feeling that I was very proud of what I accomplished, but it was time maybe for some new blood in there and for me to move on to do something else. And that was the feeling that I was waiting for, that Kevin Gordon told me that I was going to have, that it wasn't a disappointment or I never got fired and I never resigned, or I wanted to go out on my terms, and that's really what happened. I just, somewhere towards the end of the season, just felt that it was a good time this year with Dane being a senior, and just the way that hopefully we were going to end at the state tournament. And it made my decision a lot easier when we beat Cartel and we beat Fergus Falls and we beat Delano and had a good showing against Dodge County. It made that decision even better. And obviously, here we are tonight, and we're talking about past exciting things that happened, and then me being retired.
That we are, Tony, and I tell you what, it's been a lot of fun hanging out with you, learning more about the Flyers, and me personally for the past 15 years just want to say thank you for everything that you've made it so easy for me to broadcast the games and get to know the team. And I just from the bottom of my heart, I do want to say thank you for what you've done the past 15 years.
Well, awesome. I know that we've talked about this many times on the air, and what an awesome job that you do and Jamie does on the broadcast. And I always wanted to make sure that you guys felt a part of it. And that was always always something that I always felt that I owed anybody that came into our hockey family, as we call it, that you felt a part of each and every game, felt a part of the kids, and have the kids be appreciated of what you guys were doing and all the efforts that you guys did. And that meant a lot to me, that you guys could come in here into our little family circle and be a part of it. And I think you get to know the kids, and you do that much better when you're on the air, knowing each kid personally and not just as a hockey player. I thought you guys did an awesome job, and it will be tough, down the road. It probably won't sink in for a while. But those are some of the things that, people ask me about, what are you going to miss the most of? And I think, obviously, the kids. You miss a lot, just the camaraderie in the locker rooms and on the buses, and seeing kids over at your house, or seeing them at Covern's, or wherever it is. And then the other thing I think that I'll miss is just the people that I met over the course of the 28 years. I had just an outpouring of emails and text messages, and people that, you think, oh my God, I can't believe he called me and talked to me about retirement. Today I had a text message from my Bantam coach way back, 1990, 80, probably 80, 79. I see him probably once a year. He called me today, and I didn't get to talk to him, but he left a long message just congratulating me on a lot of things over the course of the years. And those are the people that I'll miss, the other coaches, and things that have happened over the course of the last 28 years. But mostly the people and the players that I'll definitely miss, but I'll still be part of the program, and trying to put back into whatever I do coming up to the arena, helping out with youth hockey or mentoring young coaches.
Well, Tony,
I'd just like to say I'm thrilled that you're leaving on your own terms. That is one thing I had on my note card, and the other thing I want to say is, in terms of the program, thank you for letting me ride in the front seat, in particular these last 13 years when I was working with James. It means more to me than you'll ever understand.
Right. We talk about friendships and everything like that. The good thing is that we still have all those friendships that I had with you and James and other people and other coaches that will never go away. And that's always the good thing about when you're in a situation of being a coach and mentoring young kids and things like that. The friendships that you make. I mean, there's plenty of, and I always tell the story of after the Fergus game, I had 96 text messages. 90% of them were from players that were so ecstatic that we were going to go back into the state tournament, and how proud they were. That made me very proud also. And once a Flyer, always a Flyer, and I can't say enough about the good feeling. I mean, I don't want to be sad about me leaving and be upset about anything. I want to be very proud of what I did and when I did it and how I did it. And, the parents, I can't say enough about the parents. I know a lot of times sometimes parents get a bad rap for doing this and doing that and trying to control things with the coaches. But for the most part, in the 28 years, I've had great parents that allowed me to coach my way, and I do appreciate that also.
All right, Tony, Jamie Pettit obviously puts the section report together. On the back, notes of interest. I think this is the perfect way to end the interview. He said, congratulations to Little Falls head coach Tony Couture. He coached his first game on November 30th, 1993 against St. Cloud Cathedral, and his final game on April 2nd, 2021 at the XL Energy Center against Dodge County. After 28 seasons, 426 wins, 301 losses, 18 ties, and 7 state tournament appearances with the Flyers, Tony has retired.
That's a lot of losses, James.
I was trying to be sentimental here, Coach, but I knew it wouldn't happen. So.
I wanted to get a little funny in there. So, that's a lot of games. So I do appreciate everything you guys did, and it's, again, I want to be, I want to be happy about this, and I think so far it hasn't sunk in, but I'm definitely, going over some memories tonight makes a world of difference in how I think about my retirement.
Well, here's the last thing, and Jamie and I believe, and of course, Jamie always tells me that, James, I will not tell you until November if I'm coming back to help you for another year because I don't know what's going to happen. But what I'm going to tell you right now, Tony, is the door is wide open if you would like to join me in the press box for Flyer future hockey games. So the invitation is there, Coach.
Absolutely. I think at one time I told everybody I was going to run the clock and do the announcing. So, or do the announcing in the book. So I would definitely love to get up there one time or 2 times and talk Flyer hockey. I think it would be an awesome.
Well, Tony, beware. When Brad Shelstead retired from coaching in Wadena, one of my first assignments was to sit down with him in his living room and convince him that he should do radio with me and Bob Larson on the Wolverine broadcasts. And 11 years later, he retired from that. So you might be in for a long haul on the radio.
Yeah, you never know. I don't know if I'll have everything enough to do what you guys do, but it would be fun, definitely fun a couple times to get up there and watch. And I'm sure that, as I always do, I will probably look at the game and think of what they could do better, and this kid and that kid, and how it could be different and how it could be the same, and try to get to know the kids. And that's always how I kind of operated with, when we were in season, how to try to make it better. So I just want to come maybe one time and watch and not have that feeling happen to me all the time. So absolutely. I know that the next coach will do an awesome job.
Yeah, they will. Tony, thanks so much for joining me. Thank you for sharing some of your memories. Jamie, thanks so much once again for what you've done for the program, too. And that's going to wrap it up for us here, okay?
Thrilled to be part of it. Thank you.
Once again, that is the head coach of Little Falls Flyers, the now retired head coach of the Flyers, Tony Couture. Jamie Pettit, I'm James Hershey saying thanks for listening on AM 9.